Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's my favorite show of the week. I've made that determination. I love this damn show. I love breaking down slates early in the week, taking a first look. I'm Dave Loughran, by the way, at Loughran_D on Twitter, LOUGHY_D. And I love being joined by Ben Rasa at JazzRaz DFS. Sometimes we go a little longer, sometimes we go shorter. Who knows what's going to happen, but we will talk football and likely plenty of other stuff along the way. What's going on, brother?
Yo, nothing much. You know me. I'm spending time trying to craft a clever tweet, and I just gave up, and I just said, we're live, stop on in. So I do love this show. We'll see. No, I'm good, man. I watched the Giant game. I lost internet last night, so I had to just imagine if my showdown teams were winning. They weren't. CeeDee Lamb did help a little bit. I'm feeling good. You must be feeling good. I missed you on Sunday.
Yeah, how'd it go?
It was good. The company is still standing.
Good.
With Josh.
Not as good as it would have been, I assume.
Of course not. But Josh, he steered that ship. We got through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just real mean stuff he said about me filling the very small shoes of Laffy. It's cruelty.
Yeah, there were some attacks during the show. I'm not gonna lie.
On me?
Yeah, you'll have to watch it.
Oh, okay. All right. I know where the people stand though, and that's all that matters. I know where
they're here with us right now.
They're here with us right now, and we're very happy to have you guys. That's a solid toss. That was teed me up there nicely.
Yeah.
Normally I shouldn't say anything. I just take it and run with it, but that was nice. No, for real though. Happy to have you guys with us. Hopefully you guys had a great Sunday, great Monday. I had a good night last night, which was solid. I needed that coming back from Sunday. I didn't really play a ton on Sunday because I was taking that trip to the game in DC, and I just went light because it's just not a good idea. I'm not when you're in a game and there's injuries for the 4 o'clocks. It's so it's not fun. You just start getting. I'm sure you. But
if yesterday I ever left the house, but yeah,
yesterday was good. And we got week 4 ahead of us. Hit that thumbs up, too, if you guys haven't done so yet. We got almost 200 people watching. Just take a single second. Make it the first thing you do when you jump in here. Atone for your sins for those of you who have not done so yet. And subscribe if you haven't done so. You want to subscribe, make sure you always know when we go live. And, of course, if you want to join down below, get the free super chats each month, the custom emojis, the sweet badge. We got a lot of badges in chat right now. I love the ride or die Stokastic people. And we're doing some other stuff. We got the survivor pool. I'm sure we'll have some other things along the way. And last thing, if you're listening on the podcast, leave us a rating and a review, preferably a nice one. If you like this, it helps us a lot, and subscribe to that. So yeah, anyway, happy to have you guys with us. It really is. I think this is my most enjoyable show of the week for a couple of reasons. One, you and I, we only do 2 shows together each week. They're both long as shit.
They really are.
We only do 2 shows together, but also I thoroughly enjoy being able to take the first crack at a slate and see what we're looking at out of the gate. You got 12 games this week. You have no Patrick Mahomes because that's a primetime game. Who knows if they play in Tampa right now? It's them in Tampa with you got Hurricane Ian bearing down on them. You have no Cooper Kupp because the Rams are prime time. You've got no Miami Dolphins, Ben, which is crazy. I looked at this today. Waddle and Hill have a combined 65% target share on that team, which is just stupid.
That game was, I know you were that game was wild. Them and the Bills. Crazy game. The Bills ran 100 plays. No exaggeration. And Miami ran 35 and they somehow won the game,
which is nuts. And it's I looked at it too. Were there any huge performances from the Dolphins?
No, they just kept it somewhat steady. Tua he was pretty clearly concussed in my fake doctor analysis. They let him come right back in the game. There was just a lot of weird situations. There was injuries. T. Higgins looked like he was severely concussed. He came right back. He also scored, and they just, for some reason, changed kind of the toe tap rule, which is kind of annoying in that regard. But this week, unlike last week, a lot of marquee, because the Bengals are playing the Dolphins. They're off the slate too. No Chase, no Higgins, no Burrow.
I know that's another one.
A lot of firepower off the slate. There's a London game.
No Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
No, they're on the London game. You got them going up against the Saints. Olave seems to be taken off as the number one there. And then who else? I think, is it the Niners? I think, are the Niners playing?
And the Rams.
Niners, Rams. So unlike last week, where all of the primetime games, for the most part, were just teams you didn't really care if they were on primetime. You know, like if they were, this one, a lot of good plays are not on the main slate. I like that though. 12 game slate. It's still a lot of action, still a lot of really good plays, but this one looks a little bit different. And by the way, bye weeks don't start till week 6. I thought that even with the extended season, they started at like 4 or 5, but apparently
So did
not.
I. Yeah,
Right?
I always screw that up. I always forget there's a 17th game as well, but we'll see. The Tampa game, it wasn't on the slate to begin with. Who knows if they will? Well, that's another. We're not going to start rants early in the show, but I will say you've lost all credibility with Storm of the Century. You know how many Storms of the Century they've had in the last 10 years?
It's so dumb. It's just to scare people at this point.
Yeah, people run to the store to buy things that in no scenario, it's like, oh, I got to get a weed whacker. Like, why would you, what exactly is going to happen?
And then, hasn't hit this, a category 4 hasn't hit this town or city in 100 years. It's like, all right, well, they've been pretty lucky.
Yeah, they're probably not going to get hit again.
Right. And if they do, they're due. I mean, look, you hope everybody's safe and everything, but you're 100% right. It is boy who cried wolf in many instances, right? It really is.
Every time.
Would you leave your house if there was an evacuation order? I'd send my wife and kid off and I'd hold down the fort, man. There's no way I'm going. There's no way I'm going.
Drown.
I'll die on my roof if I have to.
I'm not going on the roof. I fear
if your
heights.
House starts floating away, you're not going in the basement.
No, probably not there. I'll stay in the middle. I fear heights more than I fear drowning. Not going on the roof. No chance I'd do that. Yeah, I don't like heights.
I would much rather fall to my death than drown. I don't think that's even slightly controversial.
Well, yeah, I mean, drowning's pretty bad. I would assume, because it's just, would I stay? I don't know. I mean, if it was like a nuclear situation, I guess you'd have to leave. Water, I might stay. Tough it out.
Nuclear, I'm out. But at the same time, it's probably too late. I'm hanging around with a hurricane, and
I'm like snorkel gear.
I'm getting footage. I'm filming it all.
Larry, I left during Sandy. Yeah, Sandy was a mess.
Sandy was crazy. I remember that up there in the Northeast, man. That was insane. But yeah, I don't know. I think you'd go. I
mean, it's true. And chat's pointing this out. Like I'm in the actual Northeast. You're up. Like if I was in New Orleans or Florida where they get like actual serious hurricanes, like category 4s or 5s, you don't really have a choice. Like you gotta go.
Oh yeah. I'm talking about where I live right now. If
exactly. Same.
Doing something like that, I would feel comfortable enough saying it's probably going to be bad, but I'll be okay.
Yeah. I'm not, you can't
I'm also stubborn. And
yeah, you're a lot more like I'm
very much willing to admit that, you know, if that you know how I am, it could end poorly.
Oh, I know how you are, believe me.
But so far, this guy just batting 1,000 with pretty much all of it. We won't get it.
That's if you round. But we don't have to deal with it for the main slate. Fortunately, like because that would be annoying, not knowing if the game's going to be played or they're going to move venues. That's probably the only game. I was looking at like Carolina's at home. You could see some, maybe, you know, depending on where the rain comes. I think the storm will have minimal impact on the slate itself, though.
I think you're right. I mean, it's Sunday night. This is what, Wednesday night, Thursday. Obviously, if there's total devastation, that's different. Like if I'm not talking about nearly as much about an active hurricane, but more so, you know, the remnants of a lost city following what they're predicting. But you're saying probably not gonna.
What am I saying?
You're saying it's probably overblown. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that
You're saying there's probably not even a hurricane out there.
That's fake news. Yeah, it just happens to be breezy in Tampa. No, all I'm saying is that I'm a little skeptical of the storm of the century. They say this every time.
Are they saying that with this one?
Yes. They're
Okay.
Front of the thing, unlike anything we've ever seen.
Yeah,
Well, I seriously doubt that. I'm sure we've seen something like this.
You are right, though. And we're going to talk football right now. But just to put a bow on this, you're right. I think there's a storm of the century every year.
Every year. And
Right?
Tampa's been super fortunate. We hope everyone is safe down there. We'll have to wait and see. The unders you could see some point totals drop, though, on some of those games if there is rain in the area. And obviously the storm's going to come up the coast.
And yes, we very much hope you stay safe. I'm not advising anyone to hunker down and not evacuate.
No, listen to the people.
Oh, and if you do evacuate, take your fucking pets with you. Don't be that scumbag. What?
Who is that?
Yeah,
you need to.
Yeah, that's a thing. People just leave their dogs and stuff.
We're never going to talk football at this rate because what?
Scumbags. Yeah, it happens a lot, man. You should. And a lot of it will be like rescue shelters. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about families that just, leave their pets behind.
What does the zoo do?
It's peak level scumbag shit right there.
What does the zoo do?
I don't know. I haven't gotten
zebras out.
But that is a good. Giraffes are going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they got skinny legs. I don't know. You would think
visit next week. First look, week 5. What happened to the zoo animals in Tampa Zoo? We'll be there.
By the way, 92 plays run for the Bills.
Can you believe that? And they lost.
How did they put up no points? Again, I didn't get to see the game.
Up and down the field, opportunities. Credit to Miami, but I'm not reading too much into it. It was a hard-fought game, clearly an emotional game. It's an awful spot. I know this isn't the Odd Chopper channel. Bengals -3.5. Jump on that for Thursday. This is the worst spot you could have for Miami. Could not like them less this week.
Really?
Yes. Oh, after that game, you should have seen these guys. It was like a Super Bowl. They were as drained as you can be. Now you got to go to Cincinnati on the short week. Sleepwalk situation.
Tough.
It's an awful spot.
And the Bengals kind of got off the schneid last week too, right?
As we knew they would. They're fine.
Yeah, we didn't overreact. I said if they lost that game, though, I can't back them anymore. But we didn't overreact in week 3. And if you ask me, and this is 100% pertinent to everything we're about to talk about. If you ask me, week 3 shed more light on a lot of these teams actually being good than any other week. I'm not saying the Bills aren't amazing and the Chiefs. You can lose games. But the Giants, I tweeted yesterday, there's no way this team finishes above 500 with their offensive line, Ben. Zero chance the Giants that we have a record north of 500 with that offensive line. It's not happening.
No, it's like the Bears. The Bears are another team like that. They can't protect. They're finding miracle ways to win games. Tampa Bay Zoo is evacuating. That's good to know.
Good. Where do they put them in an ark?
Coming to Wawa. I don't know. They're going somewhere. I'm sure they have people much smarter than me. If they can blow an asteroid out of the space, and figure that out, I'm sure they can figure out where to put the giraffes for 48 hours.
Dude, could you imagine driving down 95 next to a couple of giraffes?
How did they do that?
Maybe they just cut the top off an 18-wheeler.
But what if there's a overpass? That could be a problem.
That's a good question.
That could be a problem.
That's a good question.
You can see that on Twitter.
That's like The Hangover, right? Didn't the movie The Hangover 2, I think? Didn't he have an animal?
Yeah, I don't think that's the first one.
No, I said The Hangover 2.
Yeah.
The giraffe gets decapitated on the highway.
It was a giraffe. Yeah.
Okay.
But that'd be a viral video if you caught that.
Yeah, I'd have to mute my Twitter. Everyone would have something to say on that. It'd be
all right. Let's talk football. You guys knew what you were getting into.
Yes, sorry, not sorry.
We saved it till the end last time. We saved this one to the beginning. We just need to timestamp it for people coming in late. It's like fast forward the or stick around.
Zoo evacuations. They're thinking, what show is this on the timestamp? But
let's talk about quarterbacks first. And before we do, we still got the primetime promo. If you guys want all of our showdown content, a single $1 for everything. The top plays tool, ownership, all the simulation tools, the projections, the lineup generator, you name it, $1 for the entire week. Now that yesterday's over, that still means you're getting 4 games, a quarter for each game, because we're going to have all the tools, excuse me, projections, ownership for the Sunday morning London game. You got Thursday night football, good game. You got Sunday night, good game. You got Monday night, maybe good game. That's 4 games, a quarter per game. All of our tools to help you crush is one single $1 using the promo code primetime. Honestly, just use the link to Tyler Stone in chat or the description, or go to stokastic.com/promos. It's easier. All right. So talking quarterbacks here. Josh Allen feels like a bounce back spot against Baltimore. And on the other side of this one, we can cover this game in one. Lamar Jackson, these guys are super expensive, but the game has the highest total on the slate right now. I know that both defenses are above average, but that Buffalo secondary, if they started like 3 6-round picks and a rookie first rounder last week.
Yeah, they're out of players. And I mean, both of these guys, like Josh Allen, I mean, comical. He threw the ball 63 times.
Amazing. I can't believe that.
400 yards passing. He still can run. Lamar is hitting the 100-yard bonus. Like, if he hits the 100-yard bonus, it's almost impossible for him not to. I mean, he's passing it phenomenal too. 10 touchdowns through the air. But these guys, you know, quarterback pricing is pretty bunched. Like, you're looking usually at like a mid 5s to mid 8s. Everyone's within $3,000 of each other. Whereas like with receiver, we get Cooper Kupp flirting at 10K, other guys flirting at 4K. It feels more and more that you almost, I'm not gonna say you need to, but it's pretty simple to just click one of these big time quarterbacks and say, give me the 30 to 40 points, because it seems like it's coming more weeks than not.
It really does. This whole top tier, though, is kind of loaded in the sense that if you want to play Jalen Hurts against Jacksonville, nobody's going to fault you for that either. Although, again, I'm impressed with this Jags defense. I think I won't say the jury's still out on them at all, because I do think they're pretty good. But Herbert was clearly not 100% last game. And I have no idea what to make of that Matt Ryan-led offense in the passing game. Do you like Jalen Hurts as the third option behind Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson now that his price point is where it is? I feel like that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, he certainly belongs in the conversation. You've seen it in person. I mean, team is not messing around. Just dismantle. Washington's a mess, but like full control. It was almost too easy, to the point that we didn't actually get to see the rushing upside with Jalen Hurts as much, because he didn't need to do anything. So I get it. I just think there's a pretty distinct drop off from them to Kyler to Herbert, who shouldn't have even played last week, to everybody else. Like, I have a big 3 and then an everybody else category.
I just Googled giraffe transport, and the first thing that popped up was during transport of giraffe in South Africa hits head on overpass, dies. What
people
idiot.
were asking about orca whales. I don't know what you do there. I really don't.
Oh,
Do they have them in the zoo? Like SeaWorld.
orcas?
Maybe they just let them be. And they can't drown, right? Like, I mean, let's be real. They're not going to drown.
You're right. Just throw a bunch of fish in there.
Well, won't fish just be brought in naturally?
Yeah, like goblin fish from the bottom of the ocean. Like,
Yeah, that's what we're going to get. Goblin fish.
Do you
Why not?
remember with the Japanese that tsunami hit in Japan? Or tidal wave tsunami? Yeah.
They got stuff. I don't remember anything being related to goblins.
Aliens, basically aliens, just straight goblin creatures from the bottom of the sea.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to Justin Herbert this week?
No.
I don't think you can right now, right?
You're just incurring. Now, the volume was fantastic. Another 45 pass attempts in Jacksonville, but they got smoked. He's not someone that's going to give you rushing upside normally, and you would have to assume he would even be less, willing to run unless it was an emergency. I really don't like that spot at all. I would rather play Russell Wilson, and I'm not really looking to do that, but Herbert is almost a straight X out at this point until I see him being okay.
I'm with you. And I think there's other directions you can take here. I'll say this much, though. If Dak Prescott plays, I might have some interest in him if he's active, but it's still kind of difficult. I mean, you're right, too. That Washington team is not very good. Number one, not very good. Eagles destroyed their offensive line, but still, it was a weird game, actually. Eagles only scored in one quarter. They just had 24 points in a quarter.
But they were in full control. It felt like they just said, you know what, let's just gear down.
Yeah, and Sirianni said that they didn't, because they did that against the Vikings. They kind of didn't. They took shots. It just didn't work out.
Okay.
I don't like the mid-range, though. For me, and I'm going to get a little wild on you here, Ben, and I think, oddly enough, you're actually going to – I'm not saying you're going to agree with what I'm about to say, but I think you'll be able to respect it. I think you could play for a Colts-Titans shootout here and look towards someone like Tannehill or Matt Ryan.
It would be more Tannehill for me, just because for someone that doesn't really move, they seem to be, and I get it, when you have Derrick Henry, everyone thinks the ball's going to him at all times around the
6
goal line.
targets last game.
But again, Titans getting crazy, weird games more often than not. So I thought you were going to say Mariota. I would rather play Mariota than either of them. I had Mariota last week. The passing volume is really bad, but he's got some rushing upside. They're at home. I don't know what to make of Cleveland's defense, but they do get some penetration. We'll see what's up with Myles Garrett. He might miss the game. I kind of like Mariota as an against the grain stack at first glance.
All right. Fair enough. It's not loaded down here by any stretch. And by the way, last season, there was a 34-31 game between this Colts and Titans team. And I'm not saying they're the same squads, but these are just games that 51 total points the season before that, 45-26 in the same season. They have some very high scoring affairs between these two teams. So just got to get the right side of it. I actually don't hate Ryan Tannehill, though. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you what you're about to answer. Who are you stacking him with?
I think you're beginning to see, and listen, this would be one of those stacks where I can load up everywhere else, and that's the problem, though, is Robert Woods is the one guy. I think he's actually beginning to come around a little bit, coming off an ACL, finally getting back into the swing of things, looked a whole lot better, at least by all metrics in week 3, a lot better. You're right, though. It's either, Phillips, if he comes back, or Treylon Burks, or Westbrook Akina. That's tough. So maybe I just go running backs here. Maybe Jonathan Taylor against the Tennessee team that's allowing almost 6 yards per attempt, or Derrick Henry, who, wasn't particularly efficient on the ground last week, but the amount of targets he saw, that is insanely interesting to me, especially because early last season before his injury, he was getting targeted too. I almost wonder, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, and we'll close out our quarterbacks, but I don't think we have much there anyway. I wanted to get your take on this. Is it possible that Mike Vrabel and company are looking at this team right now and going, hey, we can't rely on anybody else. We don't have the pass catching options right now. We don't have the luxury like we had before of resting on the defense and strictly on Derrick Henry on the ground and then resting him on passing plays. We need to get him more involved.
Yeah,
that's possible.
I definitely think that's possible. It's just a matter of, are they doing that because they have to and they're forcing something that's not the best optimization? Or is this something saying, you know what, we haven't deployed this wrinkle as much as we would have, but now it's all hands on deck and we're going to start doing that? I don't know the answer to that, but what I'm struck by with this whole conversation of all these guys, I look at them and I'm saying, yeah, we could get this right. They can claw to 20 points. Or again, we could pay not double. We were paying like a third more to go get Josh Allen, Lamar, or Jalen Hurts, who put up 35 or 40 seemingly every week. It's just really hard to ask these quarterbacks to keep contact with those guys, just given how electric they are mostly on the ground.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. I do like the running backs in this game though, and it could definitely go to the ground. If it's Ryan, it's Matt Ryan and Pittman, but yeah, that's going to be tough. I still could see this game going nuts though, because neither defense really impresses me. I know the Colts, standout performance last week, but nothing about Tennessee right now is impressive. And I mean, a win over the Raiders, that Raiders team looks terrible.
They're bad.
So we'll talk about that, but you're right. The question though is, if you are paying that much for Hurts or Jackson or Allen, you're also paying a premium for Diggs, right? Like Diggs and Allen are both 8,400. Lamar Jackson, I think Mark Andrews is probably underpriced. He has the highest target share in the league after 3 weeks. Hurts, you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Those guys have a combined 56% target share this season, and that's with Smith getting 4 targets and no receptions in week 1. I don't really like the mid-range. You can't play Russell Wilson right now. You can't.
No.
I don't think you can do it. Right?
I'm not doing it. I would rather go all the way to the bottom than play those. Like, what about, again, large field tournaments, you want to pay up. You love Jonathan Taylor. You love, Devontae Adams. You want those guys. What about Baker?
I can't. I would rather go Geno Smith. I would. That game has a 51. That game has a 51 total.
I don't know. Arizona, man. Arizona's got issues.
They do. I don't know if their issues are nearly as big as Baker Mayfield's.
That's fair. I mean, Arizona, 8.2 yards allowed per pass attempt. That's comically bad.
You know what I wouldn't mind doing though, is, foregoing Geno Smith altogether and playing $4,900 Rashad Penny. Well,
Rashad Penny, again, Rashad Penny is super underrated, but Pete Carroll doesn't seem to think so.
Last week he did.
Not as much. Like, why doesn't he have 25 carries?
Right. No. I get that. What I'm saying though is Walker only played 9 snaps. Penny was out there for 49 snaps last game.
But Geno Smith threw the ball 44 times.
I know, which is why I said he's kind of interesting.
I don't like teams like that where I don't think they're utilizing. That doesn't make sense to me. In a game like that at home against Atlanta, lean on Penny. Penny would have cruised over 100 yards rushing in that game if he had more opportunities.
I thought so too. It's an interesting game though, because Amon-Ra St. Brown and Swift might both be out.
Yeah, I mean, Jamal Williams certainly going to be someone we talk about in the next segment. I get it. I think for me, certainly our top stacks tool as it matures during the week will tell the tale for some of these cheapies. We didn't even mention Trevor Lawrence against your boys.
No, and you can feel free to do so.
He looks better. He definitely looks good. The Jaguars look improved on the road. I'm okay with it. I do prefer, I think, Mariota. It's close, but I think I prefer Mariota.
Okay. Mariota is an interesting one. You're going to need the pass rush. You need the rushing upside for sure. Right.
It's easy stack. You got Pitts. You've got Drake London.
True. And maybe he runs one in. Who knows? All right. Let's talk about running backs then. Before we do, shout out to our sponsor, No House Advantage. They're doing everything right over there, and the prize pools are getting bigger. There's been some overlay. I know Neil was chasing that overlay the other day. There was significant overlay for Sunday Night Football. We got pick'em contests versus other people for a shot at winning $150K in cash. Yeah, they're normal lineups where you're just playing against playing against the field as you would on DraftKings, FanDuel, anywhere, except there's no salary cap and you're not paying for salaries. You're taking props. The over or the under, no juice on either side. And the ones you like the most go at the top because they get the most points. The ones you're least confident in go at the bottom. They get the fewest points. Kind of like a showdown where you have a captain, but in this case, it's tiered all the way down. So you can MME. They have an MME tool built into the site too, which is pretty sweet. Like you pick your favorite ones and they'll generate it for you. There's a million different ways you could play against the house, 20 extra entry. If you hit all your picks, you could download the app. You could go to nohouseadvantage.com, however you want to do it. And like Ben always says, props are static there. So when you're using the No House Advantage optimal lineup tool that we have for free at Stokastic, or the NFL lineup generator that we have for free at Stokastic, you can really get a significant edge. You also have the video in the description below. In the video description below, you have the link to where, or Tyler can throw it in chat. If you use it, get up. They just raised a bonus up to $50 first match deposit bonus. Take advantage of that. You have football, baseball, hockey, PGA, basketball, NASCAR, MMA, all of that, and some real nice prize pools lately. Some overlay on top of that too. So check it out, nohouseadvantage.com. Use that link when you sign up. Get your first match deposit bonus up to $50. All right. We kind of already teased the running back position. I'll be honest, man. I love all four of the top priced running backs this week. I think I can make a very good argument. And of course, pending ownership, we'll see where that comes in at, but just in a vacuum, no ownership right now. I think I could make a phenomenal argument for all four of Taylor, McCaffrey, Henry, and Barkley at their price points.
You definitely can make a case. I'm splitting hairs in some regards. Saquon, a little shorter week. I think probably the toughest of the matchups. He is the cheapest, so I get that. He would be fourth. I'm going to try to take it like that. Jonathan Taylor, he better show up this week. This is a really good spot. Tennessee's been gashed on the ground. 5.8 yards per rush attempt, 32nd in the league. He should have serious work. They showed that they've got some life. They're back at home again. He had 21 carries in that game, 5 targets. I originally was like, oh, I'm making room for Jonathan Taylor. Christian McCaffrey, serious work on the ground last week. That's the one.
And they got to win.
Yeah.
I'm saying they got the win. Sorry. I'm saying they got the win, which is like, imagine underutilizing Christian McCaffrey like they were doing through the first couple of weeks.
I assume they're learning. I still, though, this is kind of like Alvin Kamara last year. Translating 5 of the targets that he was getting into 5 more carries is nice. It's better than just losing them all together, but it's not as great as getting 20 carries and 10 targets. Like, that's really where the upside came in for McCaffrey, and we haven't seen that yet. 5, 5, and 4 in terms of his targets so far this season.
I agree, which is kind of crazy too, because he actually has a 17% target share.
Yeah, they're just not, the volume's not there.
No, they're not on the field enough. It's not a good offense at all. At all. This is a terrible offense. But if they're going to produce, it's going to be through Christian McCaffrey. I like this spot against Arizona. And I tell you what, man, this Derrick Henry spot, I know that Jonathan. So if I'm ranking them, let me just say, if I'm ranking them, it is in the order that they're priced. Okay.
Same.
What?
Same. I agree.
Yeah, it's in the order that they're priced. But I would not at all be shocked if, this ends up being the Derrick Henry game to let us know that he's still here. I know he has not averaged solid yards per attempt, but he still has 20 plus carries in back-to-back games. He had 6 targets last time out. Make no mistake about it either. Derrick Henry's actually not a bad pass catcher. Forget about the fact that he has not done it a lot. He averages over 10 yards per reception for his career. We've seen him break off some big catch and run plays before, Ben. I just don't think we can rely upon that. So if I'm looking at production or just volume in general, Jonathan Taylor isn't like an Austin Eckler target share guy, but he is someone that could easily bring in 5 to 6 targets. He already has 5+ targets in 2 of 3 games this season, and he's going to get 20+ carries.
Look, there's no doubt you can make a case for him. I still think if the workload is going to be the same as everybody else's, it's hard to look to him. Like, he was getting it because he was getting 35 carries, like just full on wear him down. That offensive line is a mess right now. Indy's a fine defense. Certainly they can be exposed, but I think of the two, Jonathan Taylor clearly has the advantage on the ground game. Indy's been stout against the run to start. So I got to go JT.
I'm with you. I would go Taylor. I'm just saying I wouldn't be, if Henry is half the ownership or, less than half the ownership of Jonathan Taylor, I will definitely take some shots there.
I don't think he will be.
No?
Just
they're
because
so
of
similar
like
in price.
box score chasing a little bit. Henry was good last week. I think people noticed that.
Good point. Taylor wasn't again.
Again, he's been letting people down. He's getting the drop. I'm
probably
with you.
right. You're probably right. We'll see. I'm very interested to see what ownership looks like tomorrow. Very much so.
Where do you put, because it's interesting. It's like, all right, well, I'm looking at these four, and you get this guy right more than anyone I know. What do you do with Nick Chubb? Because Nick Chubb is right.
I knew you were going to ask that.
Yeah, you always suggest him, and then I go on living my life, and then he scores 4 times on the ground. He's good.
For me, he's too, by the way, he's the RB1 on the season right now. He's too close in price to these other guys for me with a complete lack of pass catching upside. I'm a huge Nick Chubb fan. You guys know that. I think you could make an argument that he is the best pure rusher in football. A very good argument for it. And he's proving it already this season, averaging 5.5 yards per attempt and not unlimited carries. His workload has been very nice, even with Kareem Hunt getting a lot of opportunities. But Nick Chubb is just the type of guy that, man, if he doesn't score, it can get ugly quick. I love Nick Chubb. Do you not think, though, that he's a little, I know he's performed well, but do you not think he's a little bit overpriced for where he is in relation to these other guys?
So he's justifying it so far. He has a much more narrow path. Like you're looking at, we said this a lot with Derrick Henry, though, in years past. I mean, he's really got only one way to get there. He's a virtual zero in the passing game.
Hold on. But Chubb doesn't have the 30+ carry upside.
That is true. That is true.
Henry could get 33 carries in a game, and we knew that. There is no Kareem Hunt in Tennessee.
But they run the ball so much, so he might not have 30 carries so far this season. 22, 17, and 23. I
know. And it's probably going to be a neutral to favorable game script, at least neutral again, right? It's just tough for me. Okay. Let me ask you this then, because this is where I think we could find common ground on this one. Chubb, I know where people are game log watching. Chubb has to be lower owned than these guys.
Yes.
Right? Has to be. Do you think he'll be single digits?
I think he'll hover. Yeah. Again, this is just me guessing. I was thinking like 8%.
Yeah, I think so. If that's the case, and all these other guys are way higher than him, would that make you like him a lot?
I mean, I do. The thing that's nice about Chubb is that, like, when he really goes nuts, he isolates all the points. You don't have to worry about like, I needed him with the quarter. It's so unlikely. Like, you just know that he's just gonna do what he does. A couple touchdowns on the ground, 100-yard bonus. It's just very stacked. I don't know if I'm going to have room for him and Taylor, him and McCaffrey, and I want to get to those guys. I don't think I could play. People are asking about Eckler.
I was going to ask you about him too, because that's another tough one.
That one's harder for me because I've been trying. The Chargers are so out of control. I like their coach, but I also, he's so unpredictable that it makes it difficult. I love the 8 targets. It's hard to pay north of like almost $8,000 for a guy that has scenarios where he only gets 4 carries.
Yeah.
Like, even though that's an outlier, that happened.
It's a massive outlier, but I get what you're saying, because even if you back it up, an 8 or 9 carry game, even if we're not going floor, there's still that 8-9 carry game in play there as well.
And Eckler, barring something really ridiculous, is the only guy we've talked about that's not live for any bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not going to get 100 yards rushing unless they really up the carries, and it's so hard for him to get 100 yards receiving.
He leads the league in yards after reception and still doesn't have a 100-yard game. So, and everything he catches has to be yards. Everything he produces is
8.0.
Right. You know what I hate though right now? Listen to these target shares in LA. Eckler, 17%. All right, for a running back, that's good, but you need a lot of targets when you have Sonny Michel and others getting involved on the ground. Palmer, 17%. Gerald Everett, 16%. Mike Williams, 16%. And Keenan Allen's only played one game. So when Keenan Allen comes back, are we looking at another week 1 scenario where nobody had more than 5 targets? That's what I don't like, especially if they have a relatively easy time against Houston.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a concern. The one thing that I'd like to see, and we haven't seen, if you want to back Eckler, I think this is how you justify it. They've played 3 games. They got destroyed by Jacksonville. That's not going to work. They were in a back and forth with Kansas City that they ultimately lost. And then they beat the Raiders by 5 points. They crushed the Texans. They lead from start to finish. What does that profile look like in terms of workload? Do they run the ball where Eckler sees 15 to 20 carries and 5 targets?
No,
we haven't seen that game yet.
I think Michelle would get a lot of carries too. Don't you?
I do, but that's the unknown. If you believe that Eckler consolidates that, it's worth it. I don't believe that though.
I don't either. And the goal line carries are very much uncertain, in my opinion, as well. I'm not convinced at all that Austin Eckler is getting the bulk of goal line carries. That scares me. He had how many touchdowns last year? 20 or something insane, crazy. Right? 20 touchdowns. He's still a yardage monster. He had, over 1,550 yards from scrimmage. You need those touchdowns, and that worries me. So I think, though, there's a lot of other options that we can get to. It's a nice position, honestly. The mid-range is where I want to really get your opinion on some of these guys. We'll get to Williams in a second. Naji Harris, his longest run this year is 11 yards. His longest run in 3 games is 11 yards. They get the Jets. Do you want to pay this much for Naji Harris this week in a home matchup against the Jets?
Not really. To be honest, it's still like, oh, they get the Jets. They're at home. It's a 3.5 point spread and the Jets are taking money. So
what's
this
the total?
is not
Like 40.5.
Yeah, 41.
Okay, 41.
It's just not a game that I think impacts a huge ceiling performance. James Robinson exploded last week, had that 50-yard touchdown run. He's been very active. You've got Connor there. You've got Montgomery, who's hurt. Jamal Williams is going to be the chalk if Swift sits. I think that's pretty clear, right?
I think so. Against Seattle, high total. Where are you at on Javonte Williams? Team's a mess right now.
Yeah, I wish Denver was better so they would flex them. They're never going to flex them again because they don't want the public to see this team. So they're going to be on the main slate every week now.
You think that's why?
Probably. I wouldn't want to watch. If I was the NFL, you think you want to put them on prime time again?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I told AB and Matt yesterday morning that on the day of the Eagles game, we started drinking very early. The sun was up, but barely, and stopped around 5. Get on the bus, go home. I take an Uber from Philly back to where I live, which is a good hour, and I get home at 9. I take a shower. I pass out, like just knocked out, and I have trouble falling asleep to begin with. Not tonight. Not even drunk anymore. Just that very tired feeling where you're stumbling around because of fatigue. I'm so glad the first primetime game I missed this year was that one. I woke up, I checked the scores, I looked at it, I go, I didn't miss anything at all.
It was horrible. Exactly what you thought it was.
Was it that bad? Did you watch the whole game?
I watched part of it in the morning, but yeah, I did watch it, and it was just awful. That team, there's no rhyme or reason for anything that they do. Now, Javonte Williams, he's a player, and he's getting healthy targets, 15 carries in 2 straight games. Raiders might be the best matchup he's seen so far. I think I'd rather play him than Naji, yeah.
Yeah.
Even with Melvin Gordon a factor, I still
feel like I would too. Naji, the problem is he's breaking no long runs at all. Nothing. this could be a Naji game where he sees 28 touches and you're going to wish you had him and he gets there on volume alone. But am I wrong to say it's hard to rely on him for efficiency right now?
You can get there on volume alone, but that strikes me more as the cash mentality. Like
Sure.
where you're probably going to grind to 10 minimum just by volume, but like what's the ceiling if they can't score more than 17 to 20 points?
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. James Conner against Carolina. They've had a lot of tough matchups early on and he got hurt in one of their decent ones. Do you like James Conner at 6,300? I feel like this could end up being the James Conner game and everyone will be off of him because he's been either injured or just unproductive.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it. I wish he was a little cheaper. There's enough guys there where I don't think I'll have to do this. He obviously can contribute in numerous ways. Carolina's decent against the run. I just have limited identity on what the Cardinals are doing. I think I'd rather go and take shots a little lower. If Herbert, of course, if Montgomery sits, you've got Miles Sanders, who's a perpetual GPP target. They should give Tony Pollard the full keys to the offense. They're not going to do that, but
I'm glad they raised Sanders' price point to 500, so now I don't have to entertain that. You know,
I like
he's
him more.
What?
I like him more. I do. This is the best time to play him. I wish he was 8,000.
I know, but I can't continue to be that guy on shows that just.
I'll be that guy. I have no shame.
You know what? I get a bad rap for this because usually anyone I'm on with is like, yeah, you're right. He's still getting 17 to 20 touches a game behind a good offensive line. But let me back up. You be the guy that talks about Miles Sanders this week at home against the Jags.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, there's no rhyme or reason. I was complaining to you yesterday. I'm on fire on the Odd Chopper channel. The comments are like, no one knows what's going on. You could say, you go for it. Just have convictions in your takes. Miles Sanders.
Oh, I do.
Oh, I know you do. That was more just a public service announcement. The thing about Miles Sanders, unlike Naji and some of the guys we just talked about, his price isn't that important. And what I mean by that is if you break an 80-yard touchdown, which is probably his best out, he's getting there at basically any price, any realistic price. And if he doesn't do those things, whether he's 6,000, 7,000, or 4,000, if he gives you 7 points, you're in big trouble. You might be in a little less trouble, but the ownership discount that you're going to get this week compared to last on Miles Sanders is going to be gigantic, night and day.
He might be 2%.
That's what I'm saying. And is he less likely to score 30 this week?
No.
But
this is what I mean. See, Brandon Wagner. Here's our mandatory Miles Sanders segment. Laffy, this guy is killing our lineups every week. So there's an obligatory Miles Sanders segment, but it always comes back to me, Ben. See what I mean?
That's because
what's that?
Dying. I've already given all the advice for the people, which is if you're in the Tampa area, listen to the evacuations and the zoo animals are taken care of. This is your part of the show.
I'll say this. The Eagles are going to drive us nuts this year because there's going to be weeks where they run it 40 times. And then there's going to be weeks where you expect them to run it 40 times like last week. And Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith and AJ Brown are on fire. Would you agree with that? They have really just myriad ways of attacking you. And there's going to be times where when you get it right, you crush. And other times where they could still put up 30 plus points or whatever. And somehow the guy that was in the best spot doesn't produce. So maybe it'll be a Sanders week when everyone goes to AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. It's possible.
Dylan and chat. Miles Sanders is 100% variance. Like you have to have him or he's blowing up your roster.
100%.
100%. The difference though, when you only have to allocate 6% of your lineups to get exposure to him and you're over the field, like you can have a 1/10 Miles Sanders allocation and get leverage this week. You couldn't do that last week. Do I think he's going to succeed? No. Do I think it's a great guy to have in the GPP portfolio? Absolutely.
You know, I agree with you. I'm just laying low.
Jags defense definitely looks good. I just don't think Miles Sanders is kind of almost irrelevant to everything. he's got GPP upside just because of the way they function as an offense.
Exactly. And that's what it comes down to. Yeah. It sucks, but here we are talking about it again. Look, ultimately, if we were to just break it down on like the most basic level, through 3 games, through 3 games, he's averaging 17 touches per game. Okay. Here's the only reason I bring this up, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
If people are willing to play Javonte Williams, right? I know he had a huge target game in week 1, but we haven't seen that. He's averaging what? 18. He's averaging the same amount of touches over the last 2 weeks as Sanders. Then you have to, like you said, entertain the idea at a $600 discount. I get it.
That's all.
And Jamal Williams, if Swift is out at the same price, is going to be very popular. Very.
As he should be.
He should be. Yeah. High total, Seattle defense. I like Jamal Williams. He's not a great runner, if we're being completely honest, but he's going to get all of the work.
And they're really running the ball effectively.
I love the idea of, I should say I have no issues with the idea of going expensive running back, cheap running back, because I like Rashad Penny plenty this week. A lot. I think Ramondre Stevenson could be a very nice sneaky play at 5,200 with very little ownership in tournaments at 52. They're likely going to have Hoyer at the helm. How do you attack Green Bay? It's not through the air. New England's defense, look, they got blown up against Lamar Jackson, but he's unstoppable right now. I think Rodgers is kind of hit or miss through the air when Romeo Doubs and Alan Lazard are your top guys. I honestly wouldn't be, maybe it'll be Harris, Ben, but I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a big rushing performance from someone in New England against the Packers this week.
Yeah, listen, they're going to certainly have to revamp what they're trying to do there. And Stevenson, I get it. If he's going to get, 5-ish targets and add in, he can certainly do it. We'll have to see what type of value opens up. Singletary looked really good last week. That was a welcome surprise. Guy rarely, if ever, gets there on the main slate, but he had 11 targets in that game. A lot of opportunities.
For what, a 6% target share?
Yeah, that's the one
I'm
thing.
joking. I'm just saying there was so much passing.
63 passes. No, it's true. Yeah, if Montgomery sits, Khalil Herbert's going to be really popular, no doubt.
All right. So Penny, they're just throwing a few guys out there. Because I do think there's viable cheap options. Again, some low-owned tournament flyers. What about Breece Hall? 11 targets last game, but now you have Zach Wilson expected to return. How much changes? Like how much does Garrett Wilson go to the number 2 because Wilson loved Elijah Moore towards the end of last season? How do you envision things playing out, or how are you attacking this one now that Wilson's expected back and Breece Hall for the first time all season played more snaps than Michael Carter?
Yeah, it's an unknown, but it's not a welcome unknown because we already knew that the setup was advantageous to Breece Hall. So it can only I don't see any way where this enhances it. It could only make it worse. So I'll approach it with, a healthy skepticism because it's the Jets and they are in a bad spot going into Pittsburgh and they're still the Jets, but we're going to have to look to some of these 5K backs. We have no choice. I don't really see how you're going to be able to, unless you build with a low owned stack and you double up, like, you go Taylor. I mean, people are going to do this, obviously, like Taylor Jamal Williams or Taylor Herbert types. If you don't do that, though, you're going to have to live with some of these guys in the Penny, Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Singletary, Miles Sanders range.
Who are your favorite down there? Below, let's say Khalil Herbert, and if David Montgomery's out, I love Khalil Herbert because I like Khalil Herbert more than Jamal Williams. This might sound crazy to you, but I would like him more than Jamal Williams if both Swift and Montgomery are out.
Interesting.
I'll tell you why. You're a Chicago Bears team that's facing a New York Giants offense that, and honestly, I feel terrible for Sterling Shepard. I truly do. And I'm someone that, I'm calloused in many ways. I felt horrible for him. the guy, every time he comes back, and I kept saying yesterday, when he's out there, he's great, but he's never not injured. And then at the end of the game, probably another ACL. They said it's a serious knee injury, another 10 targets. Fortunately, we hit that over prop on receptions right beforehand. But yeah, he's always hurt. But now you got Kenny Golladay, who's either hates Brian Dable so much and they hate each other, or he's just really bad. And then the one chance to prove himself drops a pass. I'm going somewhere with this, so bear with me.
I was going to say, I'm very interested to see where this is applicable. Yeah. Carry on.
Okay. I think the Giants offensive line is worse than the Bengals. I think it's the worst in the league right now, from everything I've seen at least. Okay. And I'm sure plenty of stats would back that up. Horrible. No one's been under pressure more. Your pass catching options are seemingly dwindling by the week. All right. You're talking about David Sills and Richie James might be your 1 and 2 next week. So all you have is Barkley running behind an inferior line, and you have to throw passes to him out of the backfield. This Giants offense is going to be dog shit if nothing changes. So with that in mind, we know that Eberflus has zero intentions of having Justin Fields throw the football. Does this not set up as another opportunity if Montgomery's out for Khalil Herbert to have 25 touches in this game?
It's another situation kind of like Naji in some ways, though. The game could be so bad that there might only be like 3 touchdowns total in this game. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah, it's possible.
38.5 point total.
But listen, if Swift is out, he's one of your primary playmakers. If St. Brown is out, yeah, you have a better offensive line, but it's not like you look like a juggernaut either with DJ Shark and Josh Reynolds.
I mean, listen, if Montgomery's out, I played that's what killed me. I played a lot of Montgomery last week.
This week.
I like that spot a lot. I get it. I'm not opposed to Herbert. I do worry though that both of those teams are so bad. It could mirror the game like almost last night where like both teams are playing for field goals far too often.
It's entirely possible. But I mean, how much different is this than against Houston? Herbert had 20 for 157 and 2 touchdowns. Monster game. I don't know. I guess the thing with me, Ben, is this is the biggest differentiator for me. We don't have to stay here forever. I think Jamal Williams is a fine backup who can step in and be good and get the goal line carries. I think Khalil Herbert is legitimately good. Like, I think he's a good running back.
I've always liked him. I've always been a fan of his game.
Anybody else you like down here? Any cheap options? Any players we haven't hit on at running back?
Not really. I mean, again, I think you're going to give a look at Josh Jacobs. He has opportunities, but I don't see major value unless something opens up. It's only Tuesday. That's why we love doing this show. Things will change by the time we get to Sunday. I'll let that kind of develop on its own.
All right. And of course, ownership's going to play heavily into this.
Very
all
important.
Of these guys, all of them. All right. Want to talk receivers here?
Sure.
We got free content today too. MLB Top Stacks Tool, PGA ownership projections. Ben coming up in under an hour. PGA strategy show. What do we have coming up?
Sanderson Farms. Yeah, that's right.
My favorite.
You know, Laffy's. It is your favorite. You know, you like that tournament.
Where is it?
Where is it?
Yeah,
it's in Mississippi.
Oh, okay. Is it?
So if the storm of the century wrecks the course, I guess we won't have golf. But I don't think it's going to reach all the way to Mississippi. But who knows?
I don't know either.
I don't know where Mississippi. It's to the okay. Yeah.
I thought you were pretty good with geography.
I am. I just confused that and Alabama. They look the same. And it goes Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, you know, going right to left.
All right.
I got it. Don't worry.
Nicholas says, I need more dog shit comments from Laffy. All right. Well, thanks, guy. All right. Let's talk. I personally thought my Chicago narrative made plenty of sense, but to each his own. Stokastic Hall of Fame. Here we are, where you are all inducted for the first time into the Hall of Fame or welcomed back when all you have to do is rep the Stokastic avatar, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, No House Advantage, Yahoo, doesn't matter, your site of choice. Go to Stokastic.com, download the profile picture. Stokastic.com/avatar. Tweet your wins at Stokastic Hall of Fame, HOF. Those wins can be whatever you want, but if you want to get a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum, everything on the site, every single sport, okay? And you also want to get up here in the Hall of Fame, which is what people dream of. You got to tweet your wins, finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, win all the whole free month, everything on the site. Of course, not Fantasy Cruncher because we don't own Fantasy Cruncher. Just use that avatar. Some of the people that get up here today, how about Mike Lawrence, producer of the show? Shout out to the tools over at Stokastic. Got 30th place with the 1K win there in the SPY. Up next, you've got Nolan Kelly. This made me happy. We talked about this on a call yesterday. Use this week's NFL DFS main site DraftKings projections to take down a little Rainmakers money. How about that, Ben? Nolan's shipping 1K in the Rainmakers contest.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you love to see it. Solid lineup as well. And yeah, it was just a single stack with Hurts. I can't even read that name. Is that Mark? Yeah, Mark. Didn't quite make Stokastic Hall of Fame. Yeah, we'll throw you up here if you're proud of a win. It's a $750 win, but not a bad finish at all. Thanks again, Stokastic, for the content and tools. OG Joe, can I get that yellow jacket? Nice. 3,500 in the 10K. Look, 10 cents. 10 cents, first place, $500, free month and Hall of Fame. And then the first down, which I'm assuming is the $1 one, right? Yeah, 20 max, $1, 3,000 third place. That's insane with how big those fields are in the NFL. Ricky, we will take it. Every win counts. Thanks for the content, fellas. Keep it up. 250 right there. And then who else do we have? Let's turn 150 into 7,500. Oh, is that the same guy from earlier? It is. It is. I'm assuming that was different day.
Little
Same
heater
day?
action.
Yeah, I can't tell if that's the same day or different day, but that's fantastic. And then we'll close it out with our boy Eddie Live. People don't know about Eddie, Ben, but he just crushes.
Super crusher and
Behind the
boss.
scenes. Works on a lot of our tools. He was on the ground floor. I think he's a co-founder, actually.
He is.
Yeah, co-founder. So welcome, everybody. Welcome. You've now been inducted. Welcome back if it's not your first time here. All right. Let's go to wide receiver and talk about the top. Diggs, Adams, St. Brown, if he plays, A.J. Brown, Pittman, Mike Williams. Those are your 7K plus guys, 6 of them on DraftKings. Where do you start? Where do you finish here?
Yeah, I mean, certainly when we got to see what the Q tags bring us with some of these guys that could thin it out. And there is a universe. We don't have the first thing that stood out. We don't have Cup. We don't have like a $9,900 player. So when you're looking to attach the stacks, you've got those options. Where I was drawn first was my man, Michael Hitman. Still seen, really healthy targets in both games, but his price is coming up. CD Lamb, 67. I'm not looking to get to the very top. Again, Diggs is sporting a Q tag. I think receiver is where I'm going to probably try to save as much money as possible.
Would you enter? And by the way, he was saying he enjoys when I can call something dog shit. So
I knew that the first time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It was more fun to play that angle.
Okay. All right. Well,
you were talking about, you said dog shit multiple times when you were talking about I did the Giants.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought that comment was dog shit, but I stand corrected. Thanks, Nicholas. Yeah, I'll feel free to throw that. I've noticed Aton saying that a lot. The Aton uses that, I think, more frequently than I do. It's a fun one. And it doesn't come off too abrasive. It doesn't come off too crass. You know what I mean? It's a middle ground then. Using middle ground.
I was answering who came up with Stokastic. I said society. We all came up with it. You'll like it in time. Don't worry.
There was this guy, John, I think. I don't know. Panhandling outside of a Brazilian restaurant in Chicago.
That is, how long it would have taken me to get those next words out of the story? I thought panhandling out of a Brazilian restaurant. Go on, please. Not where I thought we were going.
That's where the name came from.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Not where I thought we were going again. You got me thinking where I'm zagging. Okay. That's
What's the restaurant with the red and the green?
What?
The red, the green. The green says go. The red means stop. The green means bring the meat.
I have so little idea of what you're talking about. I couldn't be more confused.
You don't know that restaurant?
No, no, I don't even, not only do I not know that, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Maybe it's not Brazilian. Someone in chat will mention
it's Brazilian. What? I know one Brazilian steakhouse. It was in Vegas. It was called Samba. It was good. There was no panhandlers.
No, I'm not talking about Brazilian steakhouse. I'm talking about the one Fogo de Chao. Thank you. Maybe they don't have them around you?
No,
okay.
They do not.
Okay. See, chat knows. Chat knows. Couple.
Think about how confused you would be if you have never heard of anything that you're talking about.
The goal was to somewhat confuse you if you didn't know what I was talking about, but yeah. No, we all came up with it. John doesn't exist. Fogo de Chao does. Josh says Fogo de Chao talk shit.
Is it good?
I went there once. I thought it was good, but I don't really remember too much. I thought it was pretty decent. I can't imagine it's great though. I think it's like $50, at least at the time. I was there with an ex of mine. I think I was 24 or something. And it was like $50 and you just go eat as much as you can. But yeah, I honestly don't remember if it's any good. I'll leave it up to chat to tell you whether it is or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So who are you? Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. Will you play Pittman and Taylor in the same lineup without Ryan? I always find it interesting when there's two clear top options on a team and everyone else is not good.
So definitely can be done. Obviously, it's not the best correlation, but you're talking, maybe they score 38, 40 points and they could run a couple in, they could pass a couple in, and you don't necessarily need Matt Ryan because he's going to give you 0 outside in terms of rushing upside. I probably would do that more in small field tournaments or something if you really wanted to consolidate than like a Millie. And I would look to probably have Burks or Woods or I guess Henry. That's a lot of salary on the other side, though.
It is. Who do you think is the most sensible in the mid-range where you got Marquise Brown coming off a 17 target performance? I got to tell you, Cooper Rush did not look bad last night at all.
He's not bad.
He was horrible in the preseason, but you're right. He's not that bad. CeeDee Lamb should have easily had north of $120 in terms of total yardage on that drop. Should have had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I needed him very badly. So they're only a 3.5 point favorite at home. I have no problem with CeeDee Lamb, and I'll go down a little more. Guy that I swear through 3 weeks we have not brought up once on any show, and he hasn't been great, but he hasn't been
Amari
terrible.
Cooper.
No, I didn't know he was still in the league.
All right,
I don't play
Lockett.
Brown. What?
Tyler Lockett.
No.
Deontay Johnson.
Nope.
Really? What? Gabe David? No.
See?
I don't know. Who?
Harry McLaurin.
Okay.
No one is talking about everything out. Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel. He's the wide receiver of the century. Probably overblown, just like everything else. Terry McLaurin knows what he's doing. 9 targets last week, 8 against Detroit. Hasn't exploded yet. 1 touchdown on the year. I still think he's the alpha for an offense that, yes, they got severe problems, and Carson Wentz might get killed back there. I don't mind McLaurin, though.
All right. I was thinking the one guy we haven't talked about at all is Amari Cooper, too. Like we haven't touched on him much, and clearly week 1 was an aberration, right? Like there's with Peoples-Jones and Amari Cooper not getting as much. He's the clear top option in this offense. And I've got to say, he looks like I won't say prime, but he definitely looks good and healthy. Don't you think?
No doubt. Healthy target share, the offense. Definitely doesn't have the best ceiling with Brissett, but it still works. Price is reasonable. You got Sutton right there too, who
Yeah. Maybe
I
Cooper's
mean-
the run back for your Atlanta stacks.
or Chubb. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna work. I'm telling you, I'm definitely gonna have teams that look like that.
With Chubb as a run back to like,
Probably Cooper, but you could do
Yeah.
Chubb.
I have no issues with it. I'll be honest, as bad as Denver's been, I still like Cortland Sutton. I mean, I still think the ceiling game is very much intact. He had every single game this season, Ben, he has a reception of 30 plus yards. So that's one thing that I like to see. I think you would agree. It's nice when you know that these guys are getting targeted downfield. Russell Wilson, I don't know what's going on with them. There's this offense and this team is run like a peewee team, but still, Cortland Sutton is good. He's a big body receiver. He has the ceiling. If there's one guy on this team that I like the most, I think every week it's going to be him still. He has 5 deep targets already on the season. So I'm not off of Sutton yet. I think he's been perfectly fine.
I mean, as much flack as we probably should get for being Sanders and Singletary truthers, we are also Cortland Sutton
This is
truthers.
true. This
Like
is
we
true.
love that guy. I think he's a superstar. If he stays healthy, and if he had a competent coaching staff and a quarterback,
Yeah.
he would be really, really good. Still playable though, mid 6s. I think I could see myself having lineups with 3 receivers in the 6K range in the same lineup.
I could absolutely see that. Yeah. All the way, Marquise Brown's got Carolina CD, even if it's not Dak, but 6,700. He has a 32% target share this year, and he's going to continue to, no matter who's out there. I like this. Last one here, Deontay Johnson. What do you make of him against the Jets? Because if I were to set the table for you, on one hand, you go, this is just kind of a low ceiling, and I would assume that's where you're going to go, just kind of a low ceiling guy, but also a high floor option because he had 32% target share, double-digit targets every single week. Just there hasn't been any upside in this.
What was that?
I dropped something. I think
Hmm.
you could hear that.
Oh yeah. Sounded
I fell
Hurricane
off
was
the-
that a Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, man.
Nice.
He's doing-
Deontay Johnson, double-digit targets in every game so far. It's the same problems just in terms of how often is the game script going to get you there. Probably almost 0% of the time. He's going to have to get there on efficiency and just being better than the team that he's playing. I don't mind it. I just worry about ceiling versus some of the other guys in that same range. Like to me, Devontae Smith, every time he takes the field, has that. We just saw it. I'm not sure Deontay Johnson in the current iteration of the Steelers has that upside.
I think you're right. Yeah. Large field tournaments, does that get it done? It's tough to think it does. I'll tell you straight up, I'd rather play Tyler Lockett. I would rather play Tyler Lockett at 5,900. I actually think Tyler Lockett is a very interesting play this week.
I played Metcalf last week and it in alternate universes worked, but it didn't fully work. 11 targets in 2 straight games for Lockett. It's that same concept. If you can get to these games, and Detroit's still, they're improved, but let's not be,
No,
their
the-
secondary
yeah.
still.
It's not a
got
good
issues.
defense.
No.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
And listen, Geno Smith doesn't need to be prime time Tom Brady. Just if he's just decent enough. And listen, there aren't a lot of good options on this team. Lockett has a 25% target share. Metcalf's at 24%. The biggest difference, though, when I was looking at this, because I don't mind targeting some one-offs in this offense. Why is Metcalf $1,000 basically more expensive than Lockett? Give me Lockett all day in that case. He can break long touchdowns. We've seen him do it before. No one else has a 10% target share in this offense. It's 25 and basically 25% for Lockett and Metcalf against this Detroit team that can absolutely get carved up in the passing game. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. On the other side, Seahawks are allowing the highest yards per attempt passing. Jamal Adams is done for the year, was after week 1. This could, quite possibly develop into a shootout. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I might even have some secondary stacks from this game without either quarterback, but with a wide receiver from both sides.
Yeah, again, this is where I think you're going to be able to leverage It's going to be very dispersed ownership. There's just a lot of receivers that are going to be attached to your stacks or those one-offs. So I get it. I'm okay with that. These are going to be some of the games I look to stack up as we kind of, see what develops for the lineup construction. Like Seattle, Detroit's a game that I have circled with exposure, just not sure exactly where I want to allocate those shares.
I'm with you there. Yeah. Like it could be a lot more Rashad Penny than pass catchers, or depending on ownership, I could go towards the Lockett's and Metcalfs a lot heavier. And we need to know Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown are out, because if they sit DJ Shark and Josh Reynolds, TJ Hawkinson, you're going to look somewhere for sure. Seattle's pass coverage has been really bad.
Absolutely.
What are you doing with the cheap guys here? And one more, what do you want to do with Phillies receivers with Brown and Devontae Smith? Smith's still 5,800.
Yeah, again, I think a healthy amount of them is warranted. You're going to have a lot of weeks where they disappoint you and a lot of weeks where they win tournaments. You just have to live with it. Working down, you still have options. You've got the Tennessee guys. You've got Noah Brown, who looked pretty good last night. No doubt about that. Got guys like Marvin Jones still sitting in the low 4s against the Eagles as the run back, maybe. I like these spots. Carolina's, I don't know. I mentioned Baker earlier in the show. Carolina's a tough team to really count on, like a DJ Moore right now. But by the same token, there's still guys in the 4K that I could deploy and feel okay about it.
Sterling Shepard confirmed ACL. That's rough.
That is rough. I always like Sterling Shepard too.
He's always come back too, but this could be it. I mean, at this point, I don't know how much you got left. And then a report now that Romeo Doubs could be the number 1 in Green Bay. I think it's entirely possible. He's 4,500. I do like him this week.
Good last week.
What's that?
He was obviously very, very good last week. Like Rodgers, I'm sure is happy with what he saw.
I don't have a problem if you want to go to some, I don't know, Richie James now that Sterling Shepard's out. James is 4K flat. And there actually are a few decent cheap options this week.
Yeah, an injury will open it up. We saw that with Matt Collins, with the Renfro situation. Some of these 3K guys, we'll see. We can't really identify it on a Tuesday. Like Kadarius Toney, he comes back and he's somehow going to get work. Sure.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's tough.
Well, we'll talk tight ends here. We have 109. Appreciate you guys getting us over the 100 likes, but we only asked once. That's it. Only asked once. But if you haven't done so yet, 500 people watching on a Tuesday morning feels good, man. Feels good. You guys are the greatest. Tight ends. I'll if you can afford them, I'll keep going back to Mark. 37% target share this season, Ben.
I mean, he's incredible. He's in Kelsey pricing now, but he probably should be.
I think he should be more expensive than Kelsey.
Vintage Kelsey, though. Like top end Travis Kelsey was like 8,000 at times.
Oh, no. I mean, no. I'm saying if he's on the same slate as Kelsey right now, given how that target share is shaping up in Kansas City, I think that Mark Andrews should be the highest priced tight end every week. I don't think that's crazy, right?
Not at all. I think the bigger question is who should be the next price tight end, because I do think ultimately it's going to be Kyle Pitts. He's starting to get there. I do like him again this week, but more often than not, you're probably going to be living in the mid 3s to like Hawkinson range.
Probably. What do you make of Schultz if he's back and Dak is back?
Seems like a lot of questions with not a ton of answers. I don't think I would go there.
I only ask because he's 3,900. Last year, he was probably 5,600, most of the year. Do you like Njoku, or do you think that was kind of a flash in the pan?
A little of both. 3,700. It's a game that I have some interest in. Like, now you're getting crazy, but I'm talking about the Millie. I mean, hit me with the Mariota, Drake London, Pitts, or not Pitts. Say you use Njoku on the run back. Maybe you put Cordero Patterson in there.
You could
then
do
you
that.
Self-exclude. That's a self-exclude lineup, but still.
The problem with that is that like Mariota runs, Cordero Patterson.
there's many problems with that. Don't do that.
You
I got ahead of myself.
You caught yourself.
I caught myself. I thought that was a genius idea, and then I realized I had 2 tight ends from the same game. That's full on. Just
I saw you trying to kind of backpedal and figure the equation out in your mind, but then you realize like either I'm saying Patterson or Olamide Zaccheaus, and neither of them sounds great.
I tried to dig myself out by saying Cordero Patterson, and that only made it worse.
Maybe you want to go Njoku and Pitts, and then Njoku.
You don't want to do that. You just don't.
Not with those teams. You don't want double tight end. Maybe if it's like 2 high-powered offenses, not with
or
that.
Andrews, because he's not really a tight end at this point. Like
right? No, he's not.
Stud receiver.
I love him. You know what though? I got to ask you about one more. We never spend a lot of time on tight ends because a lot of time it's like, okay, make it a piece of your stack or just whoever makes the most sense from a pricing standpoint. You know who's probably just going to go completely overlooked, has done nothing, had somehow only 4 targets last week, despite Allen throwing, what was it, 466 times? Dawson Knox is 3,800. Are we not going to have the 2 touchdown Dawson Knox game at some point this year?
Definitely possible. He was hurt I want to clarify because I know you're right. He was all sorts of banged up last week.
Okay.
I don't even know what I probably should just look at the little thing. He was either cramping or hurt. Where is he?
He still played 71% of snaps.
Yeah. No, it says Dawson, not foot. Okay. Whatever. But yeah,
Heat related cramping.
There you go. You see.
There you go. Yeah, you're right.
Anytime you can get exposure to these top end offenses in cheap ways, I always have been an advocate of that. Like, it's a great way to say, okay, I might not be able to, with Josh Allen, sure. But even if you don't play Josh Allen, maybe you can cannibalize some of his value by saying, okay, if he throws a couple and I get a piece, now I don't need Josh Allen. I've got Lamar. I don't mind that.
I don't either. Anybody else? Any other cheap? Don't say Evan Ingram.
No. Maybe, but no, I don't really think so. There was a world where I thought that Austin Hooper on the Titans would be like a real thing. That is not this world.
Well, let's wrap this.
Jordan Akins scored it last week.
What?
Jordan Akins last week, he scored a touchdown. I've played Jordan Akins more than any person who will watch this show. I can guarantee it. The last time I played him, he got hit in the face with the football in the end zone and he blamed it on the sun. To see him score last week was truly disturbing.
How much Jelani Woods did you have?
That's a guy. The Colts, they're one of these teams. How many tight ends do you think they carry? 8 tight ends.
14? Yeah.
Oh, Jack Doyle. It's like, Jack Doyle. I thought he was retired. Like, Mo Ali Cox is in the end zone. Oh, other guy.
Wait, is Doyle still? I'm being serious. Is Doyle still in Indy?
I thought he was retired, but
yeah, there's no way he's still. There's no way. I thought you were. Yeah, Kylan Granson, Jelani. It's insane. All right, let's wrap this up. St. Stephen, the length of the show is going to make Savoca jealous. Hey, we're having fun, man, and we still got almost 500 people watching, so we're having a good time.
If you guys are having fun, we'll stay here all day.
Yeah, we have a good time doing this show for sure. Maybe not all day, but we'll definitely stay here as long as we have until right now. There's a lot of good defenses under 3K. I have some written down. If you were to just take a cursory look, tell me there aren't a few that you see and go, oh, okay, I don't need to pay up this week.
No doubt. Denver.
Yep.
The Bears for sure.
The Bears. Yep. Especially if with that offensive line, you could get a lot of sacks against that O-line.
Carolina.
Arizona.
Mega Mind double triple stack genius play Houston.
Yeah. With the Herbert injury. Houston smoked them last year. Remember that?
It's like 40. Herbert throws the ball 40, 50 times a game. You need to get lucky twice.
I know. Jets against Pittsburgh isn't the craziest thing. I don't like it, but
knock on wood. I mean, so far my defensive have been outstanding.
Me too, and they're all cheap.
I've been great at defense. It's all luck, but I had Carolina last week. I had the Bucks 2 weeks ago. I have just been crushing defense.
Oh, you had the Bucks 2 weeks. Yeah, that's nice.
That was a real. That was Fournette cost me an actual good payday.
Last one. What about Seahawks at the Lions at 2,400 if St. Brown and Swift are both out?
It's always a good idea to take a defense in a game that other people are stacking.
Yeah.
Always something you can look to. Even Baltimore for that reason. Do I think that they're a great defense? No. But so many people are going to stack that game up. Maybe there's a couple of fluke plays and it's a pick six or something. That's always something you can explore if you're building a bunch of lineups.
All right. Hey, appreciate you guys. And we still got 500 watching. If you guys are interested, over on Odd Shopper, we got all of our betting picks for everything. College football from Ben, baseball, all football stuff. I'm doing football Monday, Thursday, every single game for Sunday. I'm putting out on Wednesday. And you got the Odd Shopper Premium Insider Access, where you want a first week free. You want to hang out. You'll get all of our picks early. Anything that doesn't make it on YouTube, first week's entirely free. And if you were to sign up with Ben, you get my picks. You get Eric. You get Greg. You get Eitan, all those guys. So check out the link. It should be in the description. Maybe if Tyler has one, he can throw it in chat as well. We're good. Yeah. All right. And hey, thanks Tyler for no fucking clue what you're doing right now. Thanks Tyler for producing the show. And thanks you guys always for hanging out and supporting us. This is a fun one always. So appreciate it. Any last words, Ben?
Well, everyone stay safe from the storm for sure.
You better say that, because if this ends up being really bad and we go back and Ben's like, yeah, boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, but if Miles Sanders scores twice, no one will remember those bad takes about the Hurricane. So I have double outs. Always give yourself multiple outs. That is words to live by. Come and hang out. I know PGA season, not the biggest deal right now, but we're going to have a nice fun time at 1 o'clock, me and Jeff Ulrich. And I couldn't say more about the Odd Shopper YouTube. I know you guys watch us here on Stokastic. Don't forget about our other YouTube channel, which is growing like wildfire. All things betting. It's a big deal. It's a good time. I love this show, though. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. Just a really, really fun way to get our Tuesday started.
All right. We'll see you back here next Tuesday. Peace.